Okay.
All right.
Hello. Okay, welcome to Youth Voices of the Future. I'm RJ. I am one of the founders, and today we have a very special guest.
Hi, I'm Lauren.
Yes. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about online and in real life friendships and socialization and all that good stuff. Okay, so we're just gonna pop right in. Before we get started, I have a couple of announcements for the podcast and just general stuff. Of course, the usuals. Our platforms are YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Anchor, and Google Podcasts, and there's some more as well, but they're not quite as mainstream, so we will put links in the description and not mention them now. And we have a second announcement that is very, very exciting, but you'll have to wait until the end to get it, so listen. Okay, so we will just open right in. Lauren, would you like to begin our topic?
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about, as we said, online interactions and social friendship, or online friendships, and then also the importance of balancing that with in real life social interaction. Mm-hmm. And as someone who has been on Stan Twitter for a couple years and has really been through that phase where, to me at least, every single follower was a friend of mine. Like, I understand what it's like to be in a position where you think that all those hundreds of people are your friends, and also
hundreds of followers?
Yeah. Wow. I had like 600. It was like right when I was like, at my peak, that I was like, I'm done with this. But
Yeah,
but like, I mean, I just think that it's important to understand that not all those people are that, and that even if it's okay to have a couple online friends or whatever that means to you, but there's an important balance between when you're also having to socialize in real life and learn to be a social person and have good social skills, which are applicable to all of your life.
Yeah. Okay. That was a very good.
I sound like some deep speech.
Yeah.
Applicable.
Applicable. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so I agree with what you're saying, and I think that there is, I think we're really in a day and age where technology is really not only at its peak, but it's really just going higher up in the peak.
Exactly.
It just
like,
keeps
it's
climbing.
not at the peak, it's like above.
Right, but like it feels like the peak now because it's like at the height of its complexity,
and except for it's only going
importance,
up,
and it's still going up. So, and there's a lot of good and a lot of bad things about that. But there's also, coming with those things, there's a lot of inevitable things that come with technology, especially being a younger generation. Mm-hmm. So we I'm trying to remember when I was born. No, I just mean in the relation to technology.
Yeah.
So like I remember when the first iPhone came out, and I had an iPod when I was a kid. Like I was like 6, and I had one of the little mini. I think they were Apple.
Oh my gosh. I remember my first electronic device that I like ever got as my own was a little iPod Nano, which was about the size of like just these two fingers.
Oh, me too.
And like
mine was like
I got it when I was like 10 or something. It was like my first ever device because like I think like compared to a lot of people at my school, like I got like the phone, all that like a lot later, and I think that at the time it seemed like it was like a horrible thing, but also that has its perks. Like even now, like my phone gets into my life so much, and it's so much easier to not have to have that responsibility by like I guess essentially blaming it on the fact that your parents won't let you get one. You never have to like control that and have the responsibility to like text people back, do your email, whatever that means to you, be on social media. So like I just think that like that has a lot of like different situations on when you get the technology, at what age, when what you're exposed to or whatever has a lot of also impact on your social relationships, because a lot of people use something like some form of device as like a coping strategy for uncomfortable social situation.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I think that, you know, in some very, like, if you use that minimally, that's like, I guess it's fine. Like any other like strategy like that where it's kind of not a horrible, like a real bad effect on you, you know, healthy coping strategy. But it also becomes unhealthy if you use it extensively and only seek online friends when the real world is around you.
Yeah, totally. I was just thinking about it because I don't know if you've heard about this before, but there are these things called digital immigrants and I can't remember what the other one is called, digital natives. So I was wondering, because we're in kind of that weird generational gap where we were born before technology was really introduced, but we've still grown up with it, but we've really, I mean, we have like grown up and developed alongside technology, which is pretty interesting. So we're kind of in a weird in between.
Yeah. Like someone was talking about that the other day in like some class.
And it's pretty interesting, especially, you know, going to a public school, because all of our work, we have like been through it as it's transferred off from paper and pencil to computers and computers and computers, and from like assignments to Google Classroom, and then we used to take standardized testing with packets, and now we take a lot of it online, which is a little bit different with like SAT and that kind of stuff for obvious reasons, but for a lot of the other standardized testing that we took, like Park and CMAS and TCAB, there was a bunch of different names for it.
But even still, like the PSAT is still on paper, so
which is interesting.
Or whatever it's called, the one you take in like
SAT,
not the one, like not the actual PSAT, but like the pre-PSAT, like that you take in like grades beforehand.
That is the PSAT.
Well,
it's
I know, but it's
SAT.
Like there's also like it's a practice SAT, you know? Because you know, like I think there's like the PSAT matters for stuff, but these PSATs don't.
Oh.
You know, like the real one you take. I don't know.
I bet they are. Yeah, I bet they are, because that's how you would find them. Yeah. So, just kind of an interesting thing, but despite the fact that we've grown up with it, I also think I kind of think that that's almost what makes our specific generation so strong in technology.
Yeah,
because
it's like, you know, for like younger kids, like when I see like the little kids at the restaurant that get the iPad when they're like 5.
Scary.
I just find that like I
little siblings
like
are
I was like that from a young age. Like I just feel like, speaking of social interactions, those are just going to go downhill, like people's skills of whatever, if they're not learning at such a young age to actually communicate with like their parents, their siblings, the people around them. Like I just think that like seeing that is so different from what I grew up with, where when I was 5, we had this like little computer. It was about the size of like one of those like a Chromebook or laptop you get in cool. That was like the like screen size of it, because it was like pretty small, and it had this like, you can't see my hands because it's so big, but it had this huge like box block thing. It was like I feel like I'm gonna be like, when I'm like a kid, you know how your parents talk to you about like, this is what happened back in the day. I'll be like, back in the day our computers had these big boxes.
Yeah, for sure.
But like now it's changed so much. Like just looking at the computers that are in this library with us, like it's tiny. Yeah.
And like cute stickers.
Oh,
sorry.
Yes.
Anyways,
oh my gosh, I see that.
yeah, so it's really weird, but also kind of like you were saying with the social interactions, it really kind of deteriorates it, and like you were saying with the when you're in an uncomfortable situation. So Lauren was saying how she was at the peak of her social media life.
That was last year.
Yeah. I don't have social media.
Now
so
I don't use like anything except for Instagram to text my friend group
just
chat.
Thought of this,
but everything else, no.
I just thought of this, but I kind of feel like it's almost a new thing for our generations, like the social media purge. if that kind of makes sense. Like, I think a lot of kids, I just thought of this
also,
because a lot of our friends,
like those,
a lot of people I know,
the YouTubers that are like such and such amount of time without my phone or whatever that is, like it's become like a thing, a
trend almost, because like kids, I think they're still like, I think most of our generation is super obsessed with social media, and for obvious reasons.
Even if
like,
they don't admit it, they are
important.
obsessed.
I think it's super important though, because I mean, there's the obvious one, like connecting with friends. It's used for a lot of businesses. Like, we're using it for this podcast, which is like, we use it as like a business. It's like used for awareness and social activism and news, and basically everything in our life is now on social media. So I think in a lot of ways it's really important, but I have noticed with a lot of people that there was a stage where it was huge. Like, if you weren't on it, it was weird, bad news.
That was
because
that was in middle school, and I still didn't have a phone until.
When did you get a phone?
I got a phone the last week of 7th grade.
Really?
Yeah.
I actually got a phone for my 12th birthday. So
that was
I was in 6th grade. So it was it was at the end of 6th grade. Because I have
you're 13 when you're in, me too. I think I'm after you, like,
so it was I got my first one at the end of 6th grade, and that was quite a big step, and I still wasn't allowed to have social media, and at the time it was considered like such taboo. Like,
I know, and everyone would look at me like I like lived under a rock or something. But honestly,
I did.
like, there were so many. I feel no. I don't think it was a bad thing. They're the ones losing, because now looking at the people who like made fun of me for it, you know.
Oh, there's some people.
You know, like, I just think that it's like there's good things at both ends, you know. Like,
Well, I was just gonna say, like, a lot of the kids who got their devices so young, I almost think it was good that we were living under the rocks, because you're super young,
and also there's so many like ideas, opinions. There's so many like things. There's so many bad things you can do. Like, I honestly probably would have done so much stupid stuff if I got my phone at the same time, like in like 5th grade when people were getting their phones and like stuff. And also like I have
YouTube, but still, like, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of bad things you can find on the internet.
Well, but I just think like the impulse when you're in 5th grade to see everything that there is out there, like, I probably would have tried to do something.
School, you're super curious about stuff. And then also just like, and not even bad stuff, but just the overload of information. Like, you're so young, and you're going into a stage in your life which is awkward and kind of awful, if you ask me. But and especially when we were in middle school and we are in high school now, it's a really, politically at least, it's a really important time, because we have a Donald Trump in office. And there's just a lot of things happening politically right now, and so of course there's and also not only politically but socially, like of course there's activism and stuff, but there's also like terrorism and gun violence, and a lot of there's like vaping and a ton of stuff always happening.
In the classic, the nudes on Snapchat, like, I don't need to see that. And if I was on like Snapchat in like 5th grade, like so many people were, I probably would have been exposed to that, because like there are a lot of situations on there where even if you don't want something like that, it's often seen. A lot of kids don't
realize about not only social media and Snapchat. I mean, they know it logically, but it doesn't go away. Especially on Snapchat, I think kids think, because...
No, that's what I was just talking about. They have like a huge database where they take all your Snapchats, and they're all on the computers in there. So speaking of big computers, like whatever your Snapchats are, they're being stored.
Not only that, but you think that your picture disappears, but let me just tell you something. Kids screenshot everything. So even if you think that it's going away, or if you delete a post off of social media, it's not going away, my friend.
Even the Snapchat thing about how they I think they give you a notification if it's screenshot, but the thing is,
Instagram and Twitter don't do that.
No, I know they don't. But I think if you send a picture to a group chat and you screenshot it, they get a notification, but not if it's sent through the actual chat. It's something weird like that. But I know on Snapchat they get a notification, I think.
Anyways.
And even that, it still doesn't go away, because I've been in the position where I've gotten something that I want to take a picture of, and all you have to do is grab someone else's phone and take a picture of it, and then you have a picture. So don't even believe that.
True. So, anyways, getting back to this, it's a lot of information at such a young age, which is why I, at the time, was annoyed, but I'm glad now that my parents didn't let me have devices devices as I bang on my device. Devices at such a young age, and also my parents still don't let me have social media, and I have gotten to a point where that doesn't really bother me, especially because going back to the social media part,
you're winning, honestly. Like, I wish I didn't have anything. Like, I wish I never had anything, you know?
But the social media purge, like in middle school, as we were saying, it was considered a bad thing, and now, I mean, a bad thing if you didn't have it, and now I think it's considered not a bad thing if you do have it.
But it's just like looked on as you're addicted to your phone, sweetie.
Well, you're kind of admired if you don't have it.
That's
by choice. Like a lot of kids do the social media purge and get rid of
honestly,
social
media. I admire you for only like interacting with like one or a few like forms of social media ever.
Yeah.
Like oh God, I wish I never even touched Snapchat. That is no. No.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I forgot that point. Oh yeah. So there's that aspect that I think getting rid of it now has been seen, or at least reducing it. A lot of kids put time restraints on social media apps on their phone. And I think that's become a more admired practice nowadays. However, that does not mean in any way or shape or form ever that it's going away, if you ask me. And I've heard my parents talk about this, especially like it's a phase. It will go out of fashion. Yes. People stop using social media. And that may be true, but I think that there will always be, now that we have technology, I think there will always be some form of platform like that, even if it's not exactly what we have today.
Especially because with like rise of like online school, online everything, online college, whatever that is, like that's a form of a lot of interaction for people, and like it's in everything. Like it's fine to do something if you do it in moderation. Like if you like are healthy, and if you're safe, if you're safe, balanced, all that on social media, and it's not overtaking your life to the point where it preoccupies other parts and like takes away time from things you want to be doing or have to do, then like it's fine. But I just think a lot of times it's easy to get out of control because of the validation that comes from it.
Right, and then just the other thing is we're required to use it. We go to
exactly,
and everything we do is on the computer. Everything is on the
and
classroom.
Even still, like there's like my math teacher from like last year has like an Instagram.
And, like, the teachers do have social media, and like,
it's like
you can
cool.
Like
like it's not like a creepy social media. Don't worry, but it's
where they're doing
cool.
It forms new connections between people that wouldn't normally be there.
Almost like a lot of teachers have a thing where it's like a loss of like professionalism to like have kids following them. And I know like at like the place like I play basketball for, it's like considered just improper to follow that. And at my like old gymnastics, like it was so improper, like you did not do that. And that could also be a sign of like as things change through time, because like back when I like did gymnastics when I was in like middle school, elementary school, and stuff, like it was like I feel like it's just like I don't even remember following anyone like adult that wasn't like my parents or like my immediate family on anything. And like now like that's changed because it's no longer weird to follow said teacher on social media.
And I think that that's formed some really interesting and new relationships with people that
like it's a lot more personal, and you get a lot more information about them. And I think
possibly more than you need, I think, especially with kids our age, because they want to share everything that they're doing all the time. But if you think about it, going back into politics a little bit, you get this whole other access to what's going on in the government where normally you wouldn't. Like, not only do you get what people are saying in speeches and professionally, but you get what people who are supposed to be in this professional setting are saying on the side or as a more personal means. And going back to friendships, you get that same tie to people that you wouldn't normally have.
And you just get a diverse group of opinions, whether that be about the politician, whatever they're saying on the social media, and like replies or whatever. But also, like, if you have an interest, it's really easy to go on to, like, let's say Twitter, and talk about said celebrity with a lot of people who relate to you. So I think that in that respect, it's really good. You can also, like, learn about different types of people, different opinions. Like, there's a lot of things I probably wouldn't know about,
about the world.
The world, really. Like, exactly. Like, if it wasn't for social media. So, like, great.
There's
in moderation.
And the other thing is so we've talked a little bit about like friendships of really of people that you haven't met, like Lauren was saying about how the followers she had on Twitter were like her friends because they were validation that people were interested in what you were doing.
Every time someone liked my tweet, it was like
it was because it's like someone's showing interest in what you're doing.
Exactly.
So there's we so from psychologies.co.uk that really changed starting with Facebook because it's literally called Friends.
Wasn't that one like 2008? So that was after we were born. So that kind of shows, you know.
Yeah, but exactly like you're saying, it's totally about validation. So we talked a little bit about that. What I would like to bring up is friendships that are in real life that have shifted towards being over technology, just because like of course you have, this is where I really have experienced a lot happen because I don't have social media, and so a lot of what I find with in real life interactions is how your relationship changes and shifts once you get somebody's number, you start texting them, and then suddenly your friendship shifts or it changes or moves in a new direction. Because I think one really important part of technology is it's a lot easier to say things on a screen than you would in person.
Yeah, and you have time to think out what you say.
And
I think that's important because people can like do whatever. Honestly, you can be whoever you want to be. Like if I was on like people who don't do like a face reveal or whatever on their like social media or whatever, they could be anybody, and they can be like it's so easy to pretend to be someone else because you have unlimited time to think about what you want to say. And so I just think that's like a huge like
that's
thing.
A huge danger.
It's a danger for especially for young children who are getting this at such young ages. I also think that like as that grows and that ability to have that time, and if you do too much of that, that's where like the loss in social ability in real life goes away.
Which is really important.
Or not the loss in social ability goes away, but
your comfortableness
you go on a downward
it goes down in your, I hate to say manners, but manners of like when you meet someone, you shake their hand, you introduce yourself.
I feel like that too because people have
contact.
gotten like honestly,
I think
like,
that's deteriorated.
I feel like I sound like an old woman, but like people were so like sophisticated back in the day, and I feel like with like social media, not even that like only, but there's just been a lot of loss of professionalism because people think that everything they say and every opinion they have is just like it's heard by it's like exactly
everyone. It's like oh, I'm saying this,
and like and if they don't get that in real life because they get it on social media, then they think that it's like bad. For sure. And then just one of the really interesting things about this is historically research has shown that women live longer than men, which is pretty common knowledge, I think. And it's also pretty well known that women are more inclined to make personal, closer personal relationships with other people. And what scientists have actually found is that those two are connected. The reason that women live longer is because they form closer bonds with other people more so than men do. And so with the changing demographic of how we're now on our phones all the time, and everything we say is on the internet, our connections in real life have gotten less intimate and less close and less exactly.
And so of course now we have all the medications and you could live forever, but the health of how you're living,
but probably that life expectancy would go up with those medications, and we might balance out, flatten out or something because of the combination of the two. Plus remember in our health teacher was saying something about how there's a bone in the back of your head, and people because they're looking down so much at their screen, they're getting a bump back here, and it's evolutionary.
That's true.
Whatever.
Teenagers have developed a bump in the back of their necks from looking down so much at technology, which is quite interesting, just to show
how severe it is.
And also, but human bodies, or any bodies, any animals, any living organism, really. Let's just go even broader.
Wow.
They only change when it affects their survival. So the only reason that we would be developing like this is because it's part of our survival. Now, not necessarily in the way that you would think, we're going to die if we don't have it, but it's part of our connection.
Body adapting to our new environment with technology.
Right.
And with new body positioning, because, you know, back in, like, the caveman days, like, we were not on our phones, obviously. And, like, we were, like, having to survive and run and stuff. And especially also in, like, today's society, you see a, like, big decrease in, like, physical activity and the, like, sense of, like, what's it called? Like, just, like, you know, those, like back then. And, like, I think as, like, use of the electronic world increases, then that will even become more prominent.
So, and then the last point I wanted to bring up is, how do you think, asking a question to Lauren and to all of you, of course, how do you think that, like, friendships, kind of like I mentioned earlier, that we have in real life, once you, like, start, like, interacting with them online, how do you think those change? Because I know in my personal experience, again, like, people will say anything over text message that they wouldn't necessarily say to you in real life. Like, for instance, telling somebody that you like them, like, as a
my god, I would never do that to anyone in real life.
But people have done that to me before.
Oh my god,
over text message. Only over text message.
The only interaction that I've had with somebody in anything above, like, friendship, you know, has been on, like, online. So, like, and
I think just really the important message is technology is changing our connections and our relationships with people, whether or not they are across the world or right next to you or your family or your teachers or everyone's relationships with and connections with each other are changing because of technology. So it's really important, as Lauren mentioned a couple times, that you maintain balance between your in real life social interactions and on the internet, because you need balance in your life. Life is all about balance. So that is going to wrap up our podcast for today. The special announcement, I hope you made it this far. If you didn't, which you wouldn't be listening to this if you did, but our announcement will also be on Instagram and Twitter. But our special announcement is we now have a live website. Jazzy. So it has all of our information, stuff about our crew, founders, kind of how we started, why we started, and then most importantly, if you want to record on our podcast, we now have guidelines and forms up, so you can submit those to us, and then we will basically take a look at them, and you can send a podcast to us and get featured on this channel.
Yay!
Super exciting. Okay, thank you so much for listening. Sorry, this went a little bit long. We're running off to class.
Okay,
bye.